Hello, Dr. Econ here, talking to you today about the what and the why the economy behaves the way it does. Today, we want to talk about the shipping problem. Now, the shipping problem, you recollect, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, you watched the news and you saw these dramatic photos of the shipping lanes just outside of Long Beach and Los Angeles, the two major shipping ports on the West Coast, and you saw ship after ship after ship just docked offshore, just waiting to unload their cargo. Later on, you found these wonderful pictures of huge stacks of container ships lining the streets around Long Beach and around the Los Angeles port because they didn't have truckers to take them out. COVID really messed things up. The shipping lanes just clogged up. People being forced to be at home because of the lockdowns all of a sudden needed to work from home. They needed printers, they needed monitors, they needed equipment to run their home offices. And of course, they needed a little bit of toilet paper too. We found that to be the case. So there was a run on a lot of these goods, but people couldn't get to work because of COVID. So the ports didn't have employees, the truckers didn't have employees, and because everything was in lockdown. Yet there were a lot of container ships that were coming across the ocean. Now, let's look at the aftermath that this problem caused. And it's really not a very pretty picture. What we see is between November and about January, November 2021 and January, you see that there's about 100 ships sitting outside of the Los Angeles and Long Beach ports. Now, as you would expect, the marketplace starts to work through that backlog. And you see the numbers declining and declining and declining until now they're virtually zero. Where there used to be maybe one or two ships that had to wait for a bit to get into port to unload because they're usually well timed to make sure that they're not in a backlog situation. The port is now pretty much running back to normal. The streets have been cleared of containers and we're ready to go. Well, let's look at the flip side of this too, because not only were those ships sitting out there, they're paying their crews, they're running the fuel to keep the place either air conditioned or heated for the crew to sleep and work in. They're running up costs. So if you look at this next chart, what it shows you is at the beginning of the problem in June of 2020, we've got pretty much a normal cost for a 40-foot container coming across from China, East Asia, in other words, across the Pacific. So about $2,500 it costs to do a container. Well, over time, that started climbing a little bit and started inching up above $5,000. So here we have by January of the next year, 2021, it's doubled in price. Not too concerned about that. We can handle an anomaly such as that. But look what happens between January and May in 2021. So we get to the end of 2021 over here, and the chart then jumps over here, and whoa, what happened here? Containers got to the point where they were costing as much as a little over $20,000 per container. So here we go from an early cost of an average $2,500 before COVID to a cost of over $20,000 per container. Same cargo, different cost in the shipping across. These were unintended costs, of course, because the ships had to stay out at sea for longer before they could get into ports. Once they got into port, there weren't enough truckers to get the container to its destination. There was a lot of product over-ordered during that time because there was a lack of surety as to when the product would get delivered. So stores over-ordered. So now what do we have as the flip side? As much as 26% of orders that had been placed overseas or have now been canceled. Now, we'll go back here. What has caused the decrease here? And this is kind of a good news, bad news story, because it's good news that their ports are cleared out and they're taking in the customers and they're, getting the containers through. But the bad news is that there's less containers going through because now the inflation is rolling through the economy. People are buying less goods. And because of all the cancellations, there's less shipping containers by as much as 26% coming through our ports. There's less imports. And in fact, there's less being shipped out of China because of the massive lockdowns that they have had. The economy is really a mess when it comes to products and goods. So if you like what you saw here, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's grow this channel and get the word out of what's happening and why it's happening in the economy. This is Dr. Econ checking out. Talk to you later.